All right, the Dow is now up 30 points, so climbing back towards the highs of the session, 25,980 right now. The president is saying we have to make good on that deal with Canada. He wants to see a deal happen. All his investors try and figure out whether the president is going to ramp up his tough stance with China. The president is talking about slapping an additional $200 billion of tariffs onto Chinese goods after a public comment period ends on Thursday. I want to bring into the conversation Mark Zandi. He's the chief economist at Moody's Analytics to get his take. Mark, good to see you again. Do you think we're close on NAFTA here? And will Canada come on board? And will this be better for the American people?
Yeah, I think they'll cut a deal. Really, the negotiation is over really small things, small potatoes. It's not going to move the dial on jobs or growth. And if they don't cut a deal, if we don't come to terms with Canada, then it will be highly disruptive to lots of industries. It will cost jobs. So the incentives, I think, are pretty strong on both sides to come to terms over this. At the end of the day, will this make a big difference? No. I mean, it's not going to mean a lot more any more jobs for Americans. It's not going to mean any more GDP. But not doing it would be very costly.
Let me turn to China. Will that make a difference?
Yeah, that would make a difference.
If we actually see some success here, because $200 billion, the threat of those tariffs, that's a significant threat. But yet there's so much, Mark, for us to gain in the way of preserving our intellectual property and evening the playing field. So walk me through what's at stake and where we go.
Yeah, I think, again, we'll come to terms here as well. I mean, if we follow through on the threats, additional tariffs on an additional $200 billion worth of imported product from China, that, too, would be quite costly. That would cut into growth. That would cost American jobs, Chinese jobs. So, again, given the incentives, I think we'll come to terms. Will this mean that the Chinese will relent on things like protecting intellectual property? I'm skeptical. My guess is at the end of the day, we're going to come to an agreement, but it's going to be much ado about nothing. Life goes on. Nothing really has changed in any substantive way. If we really want to get the Chinese to, I think so. I mean, I think it's more show than anything. I mean, at least that's so far. That's the case with the Mexican deal. That's the case with the deal with the European Union.
But you had an idea that you started to say if we really wanted to get the Chinese. Finish your thought.
Yeah, we'd enter into the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's the free trade agreement with Pacific Rim nations that keeps China out because China doesn't play by the rules. They don't protect intellectual property. So if they want to get into that free trade arrangement, they would have to play by the rules.
So let me ask you
and
this,
that would be a much better strategy.
What about some kind of TPP 2.0? One that Americans feel like they have more of a stake in, American workers, laborers. I mean, I think part of the problem, frankly, honestly, was the messenger. When you had Hillary Clinton out there signing this thing and pushing this and the Obama administration, it was not seen as something that was protecting American workers. It was seen as another example of globalism. And so part of this stuff is in the presentation and in the messaging. If we can actually effectively gang up on China, which is kind of what this is, right, with other countries that we like and will do business with, and therefore force the Chinese hands, that could be pretty meaningful for Americans. But how do you sell that? And could Donald Trump, given his relationship with labor, be the one to do it?
I would encourage him to give it a try. The first thing he did when he became president was to sign an executive order kiboshing the TPP deal. So I don't know. It would be pretty tough for him to go back and say, OK, let's give this another shot.
Something else, right?
I think that would be a great idea.
You could call it something else. You call it something else.
Absolutely.
I mean, by the way, TPP in and of
of
itself isn't the best an acronym, shall we say. But again, all of these things, and the one gift that this president does have, and I realize he's got his critics, but he is talented at messaging. He's talented at messaging, and he resonates with a lot of Americans who feel that they have been left behind and that they'll continue to be left behind if it's left to the so-called globalists. So if he can come in and package this a little bit differently, is that what the country needs right now?
Yeah, that would be great. I'm just fearful that that's just not where this administration is headed. I mean, you think about the folks that are running the trade negotiations, the folks in the
you know,
administration.
Larry
They have a
Kudlow.
pretty.
I used to host a show with him. He's a good guy. You know Larry.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. I wasn't really thinking of Larry. I was thinking
Okay.
of Peter Navarro in particular,
Peter
who
too,
takes a very strong. Yeah. So, it's who's leading the train. I mean, hopefully, and I agree with you, Trish. I mean, that would be the path to go down. Absolutely.